If screens have become part of your daily rhythm with your baby or toddler, this is not a place for blame. In the first years of parenting, screens often enter the home for very human reasons: exhaustion, crying, feeding, cooking, waiting, transitions, or simply needing one quiet moment to breathe. For many parents, the screen was not introduced because they did not care. It was introduced because the day became too full, too loud, too demanding, and there was not enough support around them. At Unwired Kids, we do not begin with guilt. We begin with rhythm. The screen is not always the real problem. Sometimes, it became the pause the home lost. A pause when the baby cried and nothing seemed to work. A pause when the toddler needed constant attention. A pause during meals, before sleep, or during a difficult transition. This is why reducing screens suddenly can feel hard. The screen may have become the calming tool, the transition tool, the distraction tool, or the parent's only quiet moment. So the first step is not to remove everything overnight. The first step is to understand what job the screen was doing, and then gently begin to build a better rhythm around that moment. In the first months, many parents are not dealing with a screen problem as much as they're dealing with exhaustion. Sleep is broken, feeding takes time, the body is recovering, and the days can feel endless. At this stage, a baby needs safety, repetition, warmth, familiar voices, and calm pauses. If screens are present, often it is because the parent is tired and needs support. The beginning can be very small. One quiet window, one familiar voice, one soft object, and one calmer rhythm in the room. Between 6 and 12 months, babies become more awake to the world. They reach, crawl, explore, repeat, and want closeness again and again. This is beautiful, but it can also feel constant. A parent may reach for a screen because the baby needs engagement, and the parent needs one moment to finish something. The replacement does not need to be complicated. A small basket with 2 safe objects, a soft blanket space, a wooden toy, a repeated song, or a simple floor routine beside the parent can become the beginning of a new pause. Between 12 and 24 months, many parents feel the screen pattern more clearly. A toddler may ask for it, cry when it ends, reach for the phone, or protest during transitions. This is where rhythm matters deeply. A toddler does not need a long explanation. They need the same words, the same transition, the same small alternative, and the same calm parent returning again. The goal is not to win a battle. The goal is to build a new expectation. Before a parent can guide a baby or toddler into a calmer rhythm, the parent also needs room to breathe. The first years can ask so much from the body and the mind. Sleep is interrupted, feeding can take over the day, crying can feel endless, the house still needs attention, and even the smallest task can happen while someone needs to be held, watched, answered, or comforted. When the day has no space left inside it, the screen can become the only moment where the parent feels able to pause. That moment should not be met with shame. It should be met with support. A calmer screen rhythm becomes more possible when the parent is not trying to do everything from an empty place. 10 minutes of rest while another trusted adult takes over can change the tone of the next hour. A small window of help from a partner, grandparent, friend, or caregiver can give the parent enough steadiness to return with more patience. Preparing the room before the difficult moment arrives can also make the next transition feel less overwhelming, because the parent is not trying to invent a solution while already tired. A safe place for the child, one simple object, a drink of water, a slower breath, or a few minutes for the parent's own body to settle, can change the way the next moment unfolds. When a parent has no support, the fastest tool will naturally feel like the only tool. When one small alternative is already waiting, there is a little more room to choose. The work does not need to begin with the whole day. Begin with one screen, moment that feels possible to soften. Prepare one replacement before it is needed. Protect one pause for yourself as well, because your steadiness is part of the rhythm your child learns from. If the exhaustion feels too heavy to carry alone, reach out to someone you trust and seek professional support when you need it. Your child needs rhythm, connection, and calm, but you are part of that rhythm too. When you are supported, it becomes easier to return gently, guide steadily, and help the home find its pause again. Once the parent has a little more support around the hardest moments, the next step is to begin very small. In the first 72 hours of gently reducing high-stimulation screens, the goal is not to change the whole home at once. The goal is to notice where the screen has become part of the daily rhythm and choose one place to begin. After the first step is clear, the next question becomes simple. Where do you begin without turning the whole home upside down? This is where the Unwired Kids 3-day discovery protocol begins. It was created as a gentle starting point before any bigger change, because parents do not need to guess their way through this. They need a small structure that helps them see what is actually happening in their home. During the first day, the work begins with noticing, not correcting everything or changing every routine. Just watching where the screen appears, when it becomes useful, what moment usually comes before it, and what the child seems to expect from it. During the second day, the parent begins to introduce a small, real-world pause. Something simple, calm, and repeatable. The point is not to impress the child or create a perfect activity, but to offer the home another direction, even for a few minutes. By the third day, the parent can begin to see the pattern more clearly. Which moment felt hardest? Which replacement felt possible? Where the child needed more closeness? Where the home already had a small opening for change? Those 3 days are not the full solution. They are the doorway. They help the parent move from confusion into clarity. And once that clarity is there, the 30-day foundation system gives the next layer of support. It takes the same gentle approach and turns it into a fuller rhythm for the first years of life, with age-specific pathways for 0 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, and 12 to 24 months. Inside the full system, parents are not left with one idea and no guidance. They receive weekly pathways, parent notes, observation pages, journals, maps, badges, audio support, and practical tools designed to make the change easier to repeat. The free 3-day discovery protocol helps you begin. The 30-day foundation system helps you create a solid foundation. Together, they create a path that is calm enough for real life and strong enough to rebuild the rhythm of the home. If you are at the beginning, start with the free 3-day discovery protocol for ages 0 to 2. Notice the pattern, begin gently, then choose the next step with clarity. Less screen, more childhood.